Hi Aries. Welcome to this. Welcome to this now. How are you? Uh, if you are new to this space, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, February, or again, whenever you arrive. All right. I just saw Pisces. So I'm using this new deck, which I'm so grateful. I've said it a couple times, but it's important. Maybe this is a message for you too. What I'm connecting to right now just seems so... It's like I found something that's really in line with myself. You know, although it's coming from another person. Do you know what I mean? And it feels really right. And it doesn't have the... like feeding into the regular stereotypes. There's a lot of creativity and like natural order to what's happening here. And I just appreciate it so much. So we're going to take, let's look at this, let's say in the standard way, right? And then from there, we'll dig deeper. Okay. Well, I see a really beautiful, there's a lot of water here. This month is definitely more emotional than anything else. Your children, your inner child, your body, your strength in ways of love is strong and important. The wind is so strong today. And I guess you do have two sword cards that are really, really, really powerful. Both of these cards actually speak of like where survival mode is in like high gear. This is where one's power, for instance, is not coming from a loving place. It's like where the power succumbs them and they don't have control like over themselves, right? Whatever the energy or the feeling that comes in. Now the thing is Pisces actually, maybe Pisces reading would be helpful. They talked a bit about this where like, because they also had this source card, which is what this protection mechanism or anger or worry, or this isn't worry though. This is more like hardcore fear, but it can be triggered, right? Because everybody has the animalistic instinct of protection in themselves, right? We're supposed to. We're not lemmings. We're not supposed to just, there is a cliff, stop, right? Those rocks are loose, do not climb. The ground is sinking, stop walking, right? Things like this, it protects us. Right, you hear something in the night when you're walking in the forest or the jungle, you know, right? So instincts are very important, but this is where instincts are a little bit, again, it's like on, it's high voltage here. So, but they're looking over at the source, which is a card that represents being so calm, right? So centered, so feminine, and it lines up with the Ace of Cups. This is called the Etching of Souls, and the Empress, which is called the Mother in this deck. And so this river or road well, sometimes you just want to go around the bend. And I guess this means that you're not supposed to go fast, but you're not supposed to stop. And if there is anything threatening, because I almost feel like this is coming from outside of you, or this is something like unconscious that's being triggered, it depends. The hippopotamus is a very powerful animal. They're very short-sighted and easily startled, right? And because of that, that's what makes them dangerous, is because it's too quick of a choice sometimes without coming back. It's like almost like Moon in Gemini, or Gemini in the first house, where it's kind of like there's a quick tweak of, oh, you're flowing this way, and all of a sudden it's like, you take, it takes a left into confusion. So now this doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have your own opinions about things, right? And to be the power that you are. And I guess a big part of your power right now is love versus your Aries, like, I'm going to protect. Now, that part is still important, but power is, I think your opposite Libra talked about this. Power, maybe it was you. Power is a feeling, right? And I guess when the feelings are really scared for some reason, because this is one corner of what's going on here. It's like wherever something is really scared, well, then I guess it's lacking faith in the natural process of things, right? So much water here, Aries. Excuse me. Water. How beautiful is that, right? It's a life source. So you want to make sure how you're talking about things too. I guess that's another part of it. Now the thing is I guess since we addressed the challenging part first, although, well, post talking about love, then this also shows me that you have some sort of ability to, I told you a long time ago, your family protected, you protected, safe and loved and protected. God has given you gifts, right? Some you still have, some were just there to help you figure out how to see other kinds of beauty, right? How you living close to a water source is helpful. It doesn't have to be a large one. And somewhere where the birds are. Now, I also see a new environment for some of you too, or maybe something new in your family. This could also be well, I guess thinking about what you've created and then thinking about time, like, and then not thinking about time and just seeing what you want to create, right? I heard don't worry about, I mean, there's always a time, there's always finite games, right? And then there are infinite games, and infinite games are the ones that are important because those are the ones where you're playing together, right? And not against one another. Now, you may be on opposing teams, if you will, but you're still playing together. But within these infinite games, there are lots of finite games, right? Like, oh, the bills are due on this date. Like, the house needs to be cleaned this many times. Like, just basic, well, I heard what's healthy for me, for my family. And I guess there's a lesson of surrender too. Yeah. We're realizing like sometimes there is a trade-off for something, and that's okay too. What's that one? Hold on. I think it's the 11. No, it's another water card. This card came out twice. Let's see what this is. It's the Stone of the Soul, I believe. The Bones of the Soul. This card. Sergio Topi is the artist. He's amazing. It says the shaman performs many services for the tribe, including divination. Oh, he's throwing bones too. Cool. They do that down in Louisiana too. Okay. While many decisions can be made based on previous experience, common sense, or logic, some cannot. Even when choices seem clear, the shaman will sometimes check, because a sign of wisdom is realizing that you don't know everything, even if you think you do. In some cases, the shaman uses various means to connect with the spirit world to find guidance. Here he casts bones on the ground. The answers are revealed by interpreting the patterns. There are many ways to divine. The tools are just tools. The spiritual world overlaps the physical world. When we reach out to the spiritual realm through the physical plane, the world responds, giving us what we need. This card is representing finding and following the right path, right path, right action, right prayer, by opening your soul and seeking and finding answers. And I suppose a part of this too is, sometimes it is good to just go with the flow and that kind of surrender, but there are other times where you have to sort of, rivers shift, right? They slow down, they become more shallow, they become deeper, they become faster. It's a breathing place. And so sometimes you don't know what's up around the bend, right? So you get there, so you always want to check in too, right? Because after this comes the stone of the soul, which is all about the truth becoming obvious, right? So if you it's almost like don't have any, because this could also be something that's like trying to push you into making some kind of decision because that's being triggered by fear. Do you know what I mean? Where it's kind of like, well, if you don't do this, then like there's a threat behind it, or it feels like an ultimatum or something like that. And I need you to know that that's unhealthy. And where you should stand in that sense is in your own power of where and what you deem your source of life to be. You know, like what's pure to you. And remember that this year is all about decisions, right? It's all about relationships, one-on-one partnerships with people, and saying yes and no to things, right? And really finding a lot of answers through a spiritual space, like taking that in in a soft way, and then really sitting with that to make sure, because one understands the feminine nature of things, right? And how confusing that world can be sometimes. And then waiting a little bit to be like, okay, the logical, how would I like to respond to this? Because that also is what teaches your children well, which is another message that's been coming a lot. It's like, protect the children, treat the children well. Like, I mean, I guess this is our own inner child too, because we all have that part of ourselves that, existed before we were an adult, and all the things we experienced. And actually, this is a beautiful card. See that kid? I like that kid at the bottom. It's called the Environment of Souls. And he's actually looking at the lightning, but he's not afraid because there's appropriate adult direction. Okay. Like, for instance, this card also, this is the, in this deck they call it the Swords or Blood. It's because it's supposed to represent survival, right? But in this card, it's, you see his face, like he also is understanding the same kind of like instinct as these characters, right? Where he's like, okay, I have to take the bison's life to feed my people, right? Like that's a part of it. But you see he's not smiling, he's calm, because he knows that it has to be done. And of course there would be thanks for that and appreciation, but it's nothing to be seen as like a sport, like look what I killed, like look what I, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing is where this energy comes in. Now again, this could be yours, this could be coming at you. You just want to make sure what's loving or not, like what's, you know, because one may have like an awareness of one's own skill, right? And maybe not exactly a pride about it, but an awareness that they're able to do something. They know their ability. And most of the time, this can be used in a very particular way that doesn't have to do, I see, with any negativity, but sometimes it's hard to explain what I'm seeing. Just a minute. There's like a really old lineage here. Like a really strong, I heard like parent like child. Like parent like child. But there's also something new about that. I guess this could just have to do with creation as well. And whatever this push is down here too, this is also coming closer to like April, May time. Yeah, like April, May, there's something that's kind of like, that might scare you. I guess this could also be just, but I guess where, depending where your faith is and what you believe morally, then this is what determines the path. Because I see some things are natural and some things are man-made. And nature really doesn't make any mistakes. You know what I mean? But man does error, right? To err is human. So I guess where you have made innocent mistakes, you don't need to hurt yourself because of that. Like, understand that those were lessons in, and I'm seeing this more past energy for most of you, but these are lessons in teaching you more of your own, like, I don't know, animalistic nature even, you know, or your, like what's appropriate too for you. And then of course, understanding your own power, because Aries, you could be this all day. You have to remember, you and Scorpio are in the same pot because you're ruled by the same thing. You know, and that's super powerful. And so you have to be really responsible with that energy. Now, of course, some can flip all the way to the other side where they actually feel weak sometimes and don't know how to use their own power, right? The masculine part of you in, say, a feminine way. Right, actually combining the two. It's challenging, right? Let's actually read, you just pulled your card. Well, traditionally, the Emperor, I really like him too. A lot of these cards have this carving in them. I believe he's called the Father. Oh, he sits judgments beneath him. Beautiful. Just a second. Oh, they call it the prey. Okay. The father. You can look at him. It says the father understands some important needs of his people: food, safety, and community. To meet their needs, he is very aware of time. He learns from the past, pays attention to the present, and anticipates the future. Through observing the seasons, he knows the time of abundance and the time of lack, and prepares for both. He uses all the tools and resources available to him for the benefit of the tribe. Abstract symbols, tattoos, and decorative elements aid him in the hunt and in governing, as well as shaping culture. While all predators know that any fighting should be avoided if possible, he also knows that sometimes this is required to protect his people. And I guess that's kind of what this card represents. But like these two represent this in really like a connective kind of way, right? Where the choices are responsible. This is something that's impulsive, you know, or not being taken with love. Remember, anybody who wears a mask is hiding who they are. They don't like who they are. They don't like who they're around. Mostly, they don't like who they are. They're scared, right? To show who they really are, to say what they really say, to be. She's super intense. I don't want to look at her anymore. It's like somebody just grilling me, you know what I mean? I didn't like that. That wasn't necessary. It felt like a judgment. It wasn't nice. Oh, that's better. I want you to be proud of your achievements, okay? The friends you have, the gardens you've grown, the children you've created, the abundance that you now have and can use to sustain you and for you to thrive. But I also want you to remember, actually my sister taught me this, when you have more, sometimes you can have more problems, right? They can be good problems, but there's more. When there's more, there's more. You know, for instance, you figure some things out, you know, you can find a higher space and be like, oh, I can see this far. I can see where I couldn't see before. And then you realize how far you really are from what you were focusing on. You know what I mean? And it can kind of like bring more questions. But what's cool about it is I heard let us hope that it also brings more faith, right? More positivity into the situation, because love conquers fear. And your cards here show that. But what's interesting is you had 2 out of 9, right, that were fearful. But we focused on them for a while. So I guess the thing is you have to know what you're afraid of so you can actually, well, see it when it's around you and know what's really a threat or not, right? And then this will help you to make more appropriate decisions, because then it won't be coming from an emotional place that's fearful. It will be coming from a faithful place that is felt purely, and then have an action made that is also clear in a practical sense, right? And really knowing like who your leader is. And actually this card's come a lot during this month, so maybe we just all need to hear it. Just a second. They say it really well in here, so I prefer just to read. It's called the Man of Jewels, which is the pentacles in this deck, the earth. Can you see him? It says, here is a robust man, looking prosperous and well pleased with life. He has the bearing of a king and somehow hints at future kings. We don't know how he became a king. Maybe he was the best hunter, the most skilled craftsperson. Probably the son of some previous king. People become rulers in all sorts of ways. Likewise, there are different kinds of rulers. Benevolent, controlling, greedy, or even useless. Our king, though, he is one of the good ones. He understands how hard life can be and how important it is to work together. While he holds respect in his people and his culture, he can also laugh and be at ease with them. For he is fully aware that the authority he wields comes with responsibility. And so maybe that's a part of it too, is since there is kind of a flow emotionally, maybe you want to make sure the practical is like being attended, or how are you feeling about the like particularly your environment. And I'm seeing this physically. I'm also seeing this like your environment as your body. Like, how are you feeling, right? How is it that you can boost the way that you feel externally through beauty, perhaps, or appreciation, interacting with it, right? Like when you touch things, for instance, they become more real. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes a part of you, what you touch, or what you even think about. You know, it doesn't have to exactly be physical all the time. And then I see how also can you maybe boost your immunity too, just in your body. And I'm seeing this as kind of like a peach or like a piece of fruit. Like vitamin C is very good for you, right? Any stone fruit too. Like, well, I heard what grows around you in ways of fruit. What did your parents also teach you about seasons, or like about food? And I'm seeing that saying too, like, you know, teach a man to fish. No, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And please remember that it's important to laugh, no matter how far you are, no matter whether you realize you know nothing at all. Like, and actually laughing at your own fear is also like an ego readjustment too. You know what I mean? Like being able to laugh at yourself, being able to even laugh at others, but not because you're laughing at them or at yourself. It's like it just causes this, well... You know, it really lightens the load. I guess this is also asking, like, there's some kind of question or like answer from the mother, or like answer from nature. Natural answer. This could also be a female ancestor of yours too. Although I see a male as well. It's like who, but there's an answer from your mother. Like if you're wondering why you are the way you are, it has to do something to do with your mother. Or and I saw passing down the line, or passing a torch. But the thing is, it's almost like you could learn something about that, but then it's almost like you have to go to another space and ask another person. It's sort of like getting a second opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like, didn't we talk about that in the beginning, where it's like not taking anything at face value? You know, like you want to really tap in there and be like, okay, where am I? You know, is this coming from a place of faith? You know, and remember that the one The only rule that I know of to natural law is this hurting anybody? And if the answer is yes, then you don't do it. You included. You know what I mean? Jelly bean. I do see a great flow of abundance to you also. I sense you've already had this, though, because of the amount of water you had. It's like there's a lot of fish in this water, and you can eat those fish. You know, like, it's sustaining, it's healthy. So what would you like to do with what you have now, too? You know, maybe something for some of you new. Yeah, the shaman and the etching of souls. This card is strong. This came out in Virgo's reading. They had a really trippy one. It's important what we think that we know about, or what do I see? It's important that we oh, I get it. Thinking about things is fine and good. Talking about things, fine and good. But once you can quiet the mind, then you can really come into the heart space so that you know, like, whether you can touch the bottom or not. You know, where you're at. If there's any stones. Didn't we talk about that? Like throwing the cinder block out of the boat. You're like plunk. Like it was just like, get this out of here. Like why is this big heavy thing like dragging me back, you know? And making different decisions from there. Okie dokie. Aries. I love you. Thank you for being a part of this space. I hope this was of service. I really like these cards. This is the King of Nature, the Father of Nature. Handsome. Anyway, thank you for being a part of this space. Happy almost birthday. Happy New Year. It's the Lunar New Year if you find this in February. Water Tiger, I believe. Anyway, I do thank you for your support. Cool reading, by the way, too. I don't really remember what we said there, but I hope it was of service. And thank you again for helping create this space. It's so nice to connect, isn't it? All right, I'll talk to you next time. Peace out.